Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharamaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Gurubhe. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharamaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Gurubhe. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharamaya. Namo Gaya. Kande Aloje Gwenje Dokane Raga Shosa Ponje Chonzenze Shoye Yabo Gwenje Losan Seodan Jeba Neonde Ashesu Deonye Ananka Seande Bende Cheoze Alaima Yebe Azonka Palo de Besona Jianzhong Liang Bao Ye Jian Ge Ya Zhu Su Xie Jie Zhen Ge Jia Be Lu Zhu Ge Zang Na Be Ye Yu Le Xie Song Chang Be Be Ye La Me Zi Be Tong De Zhen Be De De La Chang Zi Ye Wu Zhi Ye Nan Zu Me Dong Jia Xin Dong Me Nan Zi Jia Zhang Su Wo Shan Ye Zhi Zhi Jin Su Na Xin Zhuo Jia La Jia Ban Bu Ka Jia Dong Me Du Ne Sa Ban Liu Ma Ye Ye Me Ga Jia Jia Ba Jia Ba Ran Dong Ba Son Ye Me De Ye Ne Ye Ba Cha Bu So So Sha Ye Me De De Ma De Zhu La Zhi Shi Ye Ba Be Tai Zhu De Ye Wo Yang Bo Ye Ye La Jian Zi Ba La Tai Zha San Ba Tai Be Ye Rang Qie Zui La Ma Tai Ba Ye Na Ma Ye Chu Gu Ka La Qian Zi Jin Qian Ne Qian Da Ran Zang Be Du Jie Se Ma sa ye je ye cha wa do Nama da ve ze ye le xin ba ye so jo gu la cha do mi nga yang ta mi na ngo so gu ra ba da se de ba do me no de ba jo da zo che ne sa be ge wa de da ro wa ge ya la ka be da che ba ra che ze lo sa ta ba te be ni bo re do sa je sho me me ze be te ra je re se te me ye me wang bo jang be May I remind every one of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it bodhicitta motivation, or the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of motivation, we should all participate in this Lamrim teaching, teaching on the great stages of the path leading to enlightenment by Manjushri Lama Tsongkhapa. Allow me to read about a couple of pages from this Lamrim Chemo, the great treatise on the stage of the path enlightenment, volume number 3 in the English translation of Lamrim Chemo, page 234, to give you the blessing of lineage oral transmission followed by explication.
Roshi imiji tamja de mendobe tamja de ke men bayina de kon roshi ko bicher hitaz ko ne tamja ke men ba de wa tamota na rashi be wa tamje be to de hiji ke ri hiji mendo ri hiji mendo ba mendo roshi je wa tam ba tamjebe dondere jeje me go yude jesu bishero ke de kona yele je kazo raji wa tamjebe to ya kan bigso nyamde teni shini mere de ngara ribana je nambara je wa de shelo ngo ba yin no ye ma she me chere no ma je bi shi bi shi jelo lo na wa ga me ne chere da ma she de no ran lu je tamja me de je mi je se je go de she lu go bi ten jo yo me de be chere je je ro de se je be se be sin je bi ten jo je na ne ran shin yo ba ga bo ji ra shi me bo jo ba Yambango, you do even to Sunday, never so bad that I even tell Puno tell Puno me those the men. Rashi me what do I in woke up a men or she and Donny Mena Leche, you Rashi me young so Rashi don't miss our number of go, you know what it doesn't have a number of no, don't miss. Rashi me you go, you go, sung by you know, get it, you go, Rashi me was so ye, Tamja, Tomoja, me don't know what did you do. Tadung of de Colonel J, because the no day, Colonel Tribal Jewish, came no young that Bob. The other day, Conayla Jevi, Kapjam, Diana, Umabiri, Bena, Jevi, Misi, Gula, Captain John, Chobata. Jevi, whatever Jevi, she come a Jevi, shadow, come on, you show. Chiguna, Jang, Evan, Dego, so whatever they were young, Jabber. Tongtamba to Kalagu, te was on she long bomb. Ke along with Taradway, Bosemi, Temami, John, Tewa, Shedo, young. Yes, somebody Sheva, my Biagar, Luton, Boshin, Duga, Bosajoy, no, she young. They're gonna yellow Jeva cause Kelly. Te kona nye la che be ka so ke ale bate la lo nga ta nye te ke le yo do she na ba jo na te ba ma te kona ye che be ka ne tong de me ro ye ta nye te sha go be te ne ge she do te ko che be ka te che be ka ba so me ba tong tum te she be to ye no tong tum de Kelly, you about David, Oma, so maybe they take you show. Cheju the Mary Shero, Lusumba, Oma, but tell you about Oma, Tanya, came me do she, Mama, then Garsheba, Rigby, Jolly, but movers, you go over Palacabo, no, Sulan, Dobi. Se rang lula she da wa ji song ba jo ba tong de rang lu xie xia sa ni zhou mi zhou yi ma ri xi bi xia sa zhou yi ma xie bi kun de ji den de dang ji o ju da 온주도 유면자와라 소이 노디시 되네 오모발라 고한데 신유 다시 보여다 대가방 대가방 어 몽두시세도 말아봐 케리미 저 엄마시와 간다 간다데노 엄마 버려 줘 보여 케는 그비 동담 바되자요 마저 바다이다 타이드 타지 지마사 대지 대지 동도 바되고 케라와라 자와 이라 대야 대니데 도소 동담 바라 이바다 타이드 뭐와기요 까니 까고비 거저제리 제 동도베 참마 세세마 또여바당 rāngi tōkpa tāra hiñ la jī xīn jī mō pa tōmbi mō bī ngā bī bī shī tā nāmpa rā xā pa pa gō wā nāngā jī shī tā tū yōng bī lēng kā chūng sī jāng bē bī lū ndī chī yōng sō tō tā lū ndī dī chī yōng sō tā pa yī nō tā tī sā rī kā 이게 다天주로 하다 로지부 뉴지케다 누가 숨지 누가 커서 자야 아니 다 지금 저자 대신에 별로 저지 누야 들었더니 커서 동담바에니 커서 에네 그 가도도 데 캐나다 가게 주는 메스 군소 대신에 남샤 유신 직시 된다 룩이 받이라 와 다 룩숨바데 에네 dire de kelang namja seari ene thondong de gozo khant sina ene di kelang za niyo maris ta pharu bo gokba san deba yo ma de jela ya pharu gakbe khelen so yo maris ji o tinde som do wal ta de ni pa de ka je thondan ba ka so mes ene tanye de ne en dire yo ga sha namja de yo re se ti ta dire lu ni ba ga wala ne 대권은 제위 값을 러신 매비 탐작해 밀레발 러유의 탐자 민도비 비 러유의 탐자 민조비 돈이 되듯이 어디에도 와 루니보다 그래 돈 담비 값을 매 단위에 되었으니 되 대권은 제위 가서 러신 매비 탐자의 걔네 가에 매시 그래서 러유의 탐자 돈 되어서 어디 대권은 제위 되어서 근데 너희 다짐에 만들게 대디입니다. 이제 그래서 tenjuwa 러시 미체비 리히 탐제디 문도비 탐자키 밀레바 이나 원데 때코는 일제비 가비 비실시 다들 좋아지고 라처럼된 돈답이 가서 이니 그래서 데레스 이니 가자 남샤도 미스 군조 디에시아 디 가레스 디 가레스 디스디 다디 좋아시에 러시 유미제베 리히게는 탐자디 도바 탐자디 케레발레스게 테메 가레스 다 러시데 티코나 지베 리히게 탐자디 도무지위나 ene tikona jibe gaso ene tamchan rubati tiras khang kheleng maris ribejisu se doran tikona ribejibe kapso ni so na ribejisu se ju tik ronjiba kheleng marwa oti tikedi na ronjibe tikheleng mari kira terang khebati digme do se warwa onde tikona jibe kam imbe chirki tazu gun tamcha kebele ba devais Tatima dekwa jebe kaps mes malavje in the delia kelan that made the tekwa jebe kai be se gizego so shi yun si goro o tangbo kata tingima yu do sa bidus ta tangbo da ne rashi me ba tam jebe to rihije mundo na rashi yo ba tam jebe se ton te ya rihije me ba jotis o tere da Tikona jibe ribia ine karsa jibe kapsen ta tikona ribia kapso ine ribati rashi member de kego sigres ti magin rashi member ine rashi me jibe godon do yo marwa oshida Tikonali jebe rikpati ine rashi mewa kekushigiri. Stimagina ine rashi mewa kato kumari shirwa. Otisi wale. Rishi miwa jodi juzi sungwe shiro se. Tatpa kawa mado tseme kanje rashi mes la mado rashi mewa magina siwa. Kasa rashi tuwa magina. Kede tikonali jebe kato rashi yaba tamjebe tonya migu so. Nyamna teni hindi mere this ativra. Kede tikonya jebe kato rashi yaba tamjebe tonya migu so. Tamjebe tonya migu so nyamna teni hindi mere de. Ta desi wore. Kene tabje mena sewe jwa. Kede tikonya jebe luk karsa. Tabe tom rishi ge migu rishi ge Mendo na se wadi ale. Rishiki mendo na kaji dekonyal jeba kaso da rishiki mendo na se da kaji tadu jebe rikpe chidi sa manyi bala ini nilu da dekonyal ni shawo warwa. Otisi warwa. Ta tinte rashi yemi jebe rikpe jebe chidi ini rashi yeba de magi na rashi meba ndugu marwasi. Rashi meba to tuku marwa. Rashi meba to mada na ini rashi chuba ka to marwasi. Otisi warwa. Jizu sungbi shiro sa. Tati le to kora di jawa. Kete te koya jebe kausa rangshin yuwa tam jebe tong ya megu so. Nyamna ti ni shendu mere de. Nga rikpa namji namba jeba di shelu goba yinu she mebe shedda. Ma jebe shiba shenji lu nam gaba mini be shedda. Shendu na rangi lo tam jia tamja mendoje mege ka sani chi mege de chugo de shenu la ya tenjur dang mendo sheros o dos la vena dan digu mendo karasena ene shenu ka be se yo ranglu le kele me se shibja shigu dos ta ranglu de shenu de sina de konen je ba ta tani khode na ranglu de shenu ningala ya cheme de namsha me na ene da Gasha shibaga shengo in ranglu keme se shibja shidin tigi mundos. Ta shilu ka because in the kila da ganga yogu waris. Otigu warda. Nga rikpa na ye majeba shilu ka wa yinu she mai ve she da. Majebi shibe shin ki luk gawa minu she. Shilu ka bala rikpe jeba she ne. En kante gawa rima do takasi pigi Rigun la majang ribal jeba majeba debati ke chiron debati de gugu mendus sia de chedan gaksha sia yomar majeba majena udesu munda
Nga tadi chasas kumuz ke tokdo chuk dirona ro. Geng singde jorong ede betorske git.
this da kaji tonda dosen dereja karsa tade lu ni ba de ba
No.
ku ton jiba kapso en karsa demes Tondu jiba kapso le ine de karsa gaksha da dini namsha mendu kade ine de mendu kunzo de tamji yes o disinye de kaji jiba de ba
No.
sida da tondu jiba kapso ya karsi to sida tel toani ne tondum se ya yes tondu yemi jiba jiba kapso sigore ko ribe jiba shine riba ko na jiba tomodo sigore 제바 시베 깝들 저거 인시에도 제바 시 깝을 주는 디갑서 인데 나고 지고 제바 시가 간가 여러 디디 그 무슨 거로 다 리페지 뭐지시나 인데 디스워다 단다디 카르사 리페지 비스버데 시야들 코라 카르사 치치도 리페지 까 뭐거나 인데 코라 데라시메 두고 말아봤디 마토나나 ine rashi yobare do rashi meware do mudo ene rashi meware go mudo rashi chubare do dos but thonda business that is so that thonda ni sin this orda ta taga se rashi me yumi chi me kai me thonda ba yiba chi me kai me chirse ene thondon de yiba chi me ka so gol shigo ngago ganga yorwa tido so ne me se adri mundo was ngago shigo me na so ba shia yo mara what is tendency that do you did
Gisela read from page 234 to page 237 to give us the blessing of lineage oral transmission, and now it's back to page 235, volume number 3. in the English translation. So the caption reads subpoint 2, refuting the second misinterpretation. We already talked about the position of Jaya Ananda and the debate, in what way Jaya Ananda distinguishes between Sevatandika Madhyamigans and Prasangika Madhyamigans. And all the debates and arguments relating to that we have already dealt with. So that was refuting the first misinterpretation. Now the second misinterpretation is, in a nutshell, some, let's say, critics assert that in terms of ultimate in terms of ultimate analysis, we do not assert what we call argumentation, asserting one's own position and refuting others' position. We only do that in terms of conventionality. Okay, so that's the second critique who asserts that, so the questions are being asked to them. Because again here, I think these critics do not accept what is called valid cognition, okay, pramana in Sanskrit. And so we ask the question, do you mean that there is no such thing as ultimate analysis? Okay, because what even according to Sevatandika Madhyamigans, things should not be findable under ultimate analysis. Okay, so which means that in terms of ultimate analysis, there are people who are cautioners or debaters who ask questions, and then are those who respond to that, right? So we can think in terms of debate partners, the one who puts the question and the one who responds to that, And so how can you say that in terms of ultimate analysis, there is no what we call establishing one's own thesis and refuting others' arguments? And if you do assert that there is such thing as ultimate analysis and through ultimate reasoning, right, we refute intrinsic reality, then what is being established in that case is the absence of intrinsic reality, isn't it? And so when the absence of intrinsic reality is established through valid reasoning, so that counteracts the intrinsic reality, or that refutes, in other words, the intrinsic reality. So therefore, you cannot say that in your system, we don't accept argumentation in terms of ultimate analysis, because there are those, you said the things we just mentioned, and also, how is it possible that if you don't accept valid cognition, then how can we assert one's own thesis, because that has to be established upon validity, right? There is no such valid cognition. And then how can you say that you can effectively refute others' positions, without accepting the valid cognitions or the pramana? So as Geshe progresses in this explanation, I hope things will become even clearer. Okay, sometimes we have to wait a little bit more to get the whole picture.
나 시행기도 수행비 탱기로시는 데레다 간제 탱기 현다 바까고 잠뭐 롱루 간제 가이 루비아메시아로 시대 까베 온데 시나 저는 러시 메바 까고 인도 러시 여바 까도 있잖아 이 러시 메바 초고로 왔어 어디 초고에 저때 초고한테 가려서는 손도 단리를 송자서 그때 러시 메바 러시 여바 니도 러시 니도 미저 조주셔야지 러시 여바 러시 메바니 직간의 직 접가지 뭐 직요간의 직 모터 뒤에 풍선 요 말을 납사로와 저 또 코디 가르다 또 갈가고서는 디스월다 파가야 잠어도 러시 메바 초고 말았어 그게 어디서 왔다 다 뜻도 싫어 러시 메 대요 가야도 변도 말았어 러시 메바 처음부터는 让西越把这个是吧？这也碰上没种作的些多，这些人上，你说的让西没把马祖些这个们都是，我的这些这些。
So I think maybe this will clear up a little more things. So according to the critic here, or whose misinterpretation we are trying to refute here, what they say is that they are sort of, so to speak, in the business of refuting others' argumentation and a position, but we said we don't have our own sort of assertion or a thesis. Okay, so our business is to refute intrinsic reality, but we don't have our own thesis or assertion. This is what it is. And so that misinterpretation is being challenged or refuted in the sense based upon Gyeltsen, refutation of argumentation. It is a treatise name. Okay, so where it is said that if you use reasoning to refute intrinsic reality, what is being established is the absence of intrinsic reality. So that becomes your thesis, because either things must exist intrinsically or they must be empty of intrinsic existence, isn't it? There is no third option here. It cannot be like, okay, it's neither. You cannot have. Either things must be intrinsically existent or they must not be intrinsically existent. But if you say that you are in the business of refuting the intrinsic existence, so through that refutation, what is being asserted in the process, which you said you don't have a thesis, is the absence of intrinsic reality, isn't it? Yeah. Or if you somehow, let's say, which means you cannot say I don't have my own thesis. I'm here to refute the intrinsic reality, because the options are only two, either or, not the third option per se. And so if you only claim that you are using tenure, consequential reasoning only to refute intrinsic reality, that makes no sense, because what is established in the process, right, by refuting something, what you accept is antithesis, right? The absence of intrinsic reality or intrinsic existence. And that should be your thesis. You said you don't have your own thesis, but that has to be your thesis,
매바 드바인 장시 여바 까고면 시엔도 되면은 다 고동지서 단다 코너 같이 되세나 장시 여바 까고다니 뭐 장시 매바 드면 라로 다때마지 양 장시 매바 드바인 장시 여바 까고 뭐이신 파도스 고동시나 근데 저 라가 가려서 됐어다 또 란데 가려서 좋아 다때라 두고 매바 드는 장시 도면서 다 장시 매바 가서네 장시 접주고 라위나 Lavina, that is the children that the Ranji Miss Lapsona, and the Ranji about the show guard or go some to a cheaper at the hospital. That you go cover my Casaranji or cover the Meva do my zero, which goes on radar.
So in the Gyeltsen refutation arguments, it is stated that if you were to refute intrinsic reality, what is asserted in its place is the absence of intrinsic reality or emptiness of intrinsic reality. That's how it should be, because things should either be intrinsically existent or they should be non-intrinsically existent. There is no third option here, isn't it? And what the critics are saying is that they are in the business of refuting intrinsic reality, but they don't assert absence of intrinsic reality. They said, I don't have that thesis. Okay? And that's not possible. That's not feasible at all, right? So to kind of to counter that argument, a parallel argument has been made to them. Okay, so how about this? Okay, that you used argumentation to refute, absence of intrinsic reality, but you don't assert intrinsic reality. How would we respond to that? It's just like a parallel argumentation where they said they could refute the intrinsic reality, but they're not accepting, right, asserting absence of intrinsic reality. So let's flip the argument then. Let's say we use the reasoning to refute absence of intrinsic reality, right? So So would you say that you are not now asserting the intrinsic reality? So it's not making any sense. So a parallel argument is being offered here.
어디 다 당기 자에 탐제데 딱바 니바디자 다다 딱바 동오데 디코나 집에 리뷰 줘버렸다 디코나 집에 가이 메시스는 진짜 다고 위는 세야지워디 지나 디코나 이거 다이 그거 이나다 에네 오마바다 에네 고마발라서 된데 디코나 집에 에네 깝자니야다 저와 골가지 치고신 쪼야 깝면다 디코나 집에 깝수 가래 가이 메시스 에네 가고서 치고 면다 Then Gasha, then Hinu Kabada, Tigio Miatas, or Diton do I said that the Kabish is another Omabada, Tenjo in a Goma and that, and you and Sebe Kauso, and God she goes kill him and Hinu Kabata Yomarwal. She said, Hinu Kaba Yuna, in the corner in the Sebe Kai, she's a Lanichon Dimudas. The Sebe Kaus, the corner she will come, she were into the Nago she goes to Yoras. 친구 길에 나고 바가가들 여러 왔어. 뒤에는 대거는 집에 가이베 시켜 지대고는 이제 레마서 와서 디제 제기다 농도선 되래.
So I mean what is being argued here is that the critics cannot say that they do not accept argumentations on the in terms of ultimate analysis. Because in terms of ultimate analysis, or means we're analyzing the ultimate nature of things. Definitely there are different positions asserted by philosophical schools of thought. For example, the realists assert that things exist intrinsically, right? That's their thesis, and they're using their own reasoning to defend their thesis that things do exist intrinsically, right? Whereas the Madhyamikans or the middle way philosophers, they are refuting that. They say, there is no such thing as intrinsic reality because things, lack that kind of nature. Which means, even in terms of that, on that level, ultimate reality level, there are argumentations going back and forth, right? Different schools of thought. Otherwise, nobody can assert that there is such thing as intrinsic reality, or things are empty of intrinsic reality. Because all of those things, debate exists, with regard to that which is ultimate, right? Not on the conventional level, because that's on the ultimate level, right? How do things actually exist? And some schools say they exist intrinsically. Here are 10,000, didn't say 10,000 reasons, my footnote. Reasons why it is the case. And the Madhyamikans say, things can never exist intrinsically. And here are our reasons why we are in the business of challenging that. Okay? So, in terms of ultimate reality, there are such things as debating partners, right? The one who makes argument, the one who responds to that. So you cannot say that in terms of ultimate reality, we don't accept argumentation.
어디 엄마배 데려서 엄마배 리뷰 넘버 제 뒤미스면 되고 골라서 대세고 다 대코나 제 까이비 저런 지들 거인 이 엄마발 대코나 제 그와 리뷰 넘버 제 까메 켈랭고 대고 지금 말 왔어 깝된 종는 이 제바보다 제베 리바다 제베 시당 강다 링지 제베 시고 남장 예바는 되고베 뒤가서 주베 ene thongdam chub khala gos o de da thongdam de kai be si lab so na si da ti ni jo na de khela na te mo no ma be de repeat ba ta si mo khelem go de khelem go ma ro da chono ki khelem go ra che be to de khelem ka jo ne ti ka so ene pa che ba sing ge ga go shi go da ene shi kan de be he da o die ga khelem go ro was ti khelem go da me se ti go ma ra o ti ko yo ka bi se ti go ma ra ye ban de ge nge so je nge ban de ge ti ga zu chu ba tam je tong chab ba ga la ko se wa ti ko na ye je ba ka so ni ye de tong chab jo so na ene nga go shi go de zhe ba de zhe shi ga tong chab jo o ti ti ma ra wa si wa ta.
So the critics here assert that they only accept argumentation in terms of conventionality or conventional on the conventional level, not on the ultimate reality level. And so I think mathematicians are arguing that even in terms of ultimate reality, so there are argumentations, because otherwise you have to say that mathematicians, they do not engage in, analytical examination. But there is such thing as what is being analyzed, right? Object of analysis and analyzer, that which analyzes whatever it is, and the process of doing that, which is the analysis itself, examination, right? And you have to say that all those things don't exist, which is not the case, because mathematicians engage in that kind of ultimate analysis and try to assert that nothing exists intrinsically, because through their reasoning they try to make a case that intrinsic reality is not feasible and possible at all. That's being refuted, and what's asserted in return is the absence of intrinsic reality.
The Tawazam Henji Kelangba, Tardukba, Imbis, Sema Mejans, Tawashi the Shema Yang, Yitsama Shiva Main Base, or look Tambok Kabashi, Gabach, Shaw, still that Pagaya, two Duyat Kakayomar, Tawazam she did. Kelan the Tawazam Tadu or Tindaji name of the Kayomar Sender. In the Tanzaya, I need to love at the Jiwar, Dakanji Karsa. There was similar to no Yatan Mershin or teaching it, or teaching and Digumaris. Zaya in the Kavanaji, in the Pakaya to Duachi or Mary to Jibar about it to race or direction. Here, Dikona Jive Kauso. Killing me, the killing you, killing me like tiny the killing you the shit number Jonah. Tell my decona jibber come, told them to me room, tiny the shall telling gauges. Tatangi the river told them to river cups, because me any kind me, Kunzo the use killing it. Killing you the shit number Jonah, I did take him said this, but decona jibber come. Tondum di Merung as Tanya the Yola, Tanya to Shaguaba, ne Shagubi, then gave a dance. Robot Jova said that any Nubunil Kayaro, you should take it at the Mari, money at the Mari, Judizan, and the Conan Jova said, tell you, Kundo the Jodo, Tonta Joe Marva, Tonta Bachus, Debatova County Marcian, Tonta Jova. That did nobody needs to carry the country. Said Lavina. It did, yeah, the about what you my Kundo Joe. We see the girl told to Messi, told to the Messi, Kundo use take me to steam with that.
So I think we have to keep in mind there are two levels of analysis. One is, temperature means investigating that which is, ultimate, right? And investigating that which is conventional. So those are two different types of analysis. So the mathematicians are, kind of challenging the critics here that if you simply say that you are using consequential reasoning, tenure, simply to refute somebody's position or the thesis, but you don't have your own thesis, so that is not feasible. And also when you say there is no such thing as valid cognition, right, Sema. Okay? And so that, I think, goes back to what Jaya Ananda said earlier, and we have seen the refutation of that. If there is no such thing as valid cognition, then how do we know things exist or don't exist or whatever the case may be? Because we have to do that through pramana or valid cognitions. And also, if they say that, nothing exists ultimately, but things exist conventionally, so they only accept argumentations in terms of conventional analysis, but not in terms of ultimate. Again, I think they are kind of mixing up the two types of analysis. When we think in terms of ultimate analysis, what we're talking about, how do things actually exist? What is the mode of analysis of phenomena? Okay, do they exist in and of itself or themselves, right? Or do they exist in some other fashion? Okay, so that kind of analysis is called ultimate analysis. And such an analysis is feasible. We can do that, right? But when we think in terms of just, how to say, what is or what is not, let's say, that's a conventional analysis. When we think in terms of what is the kind of identity, sort of a conventional aspect or the identity of phenomena, that's a different kind of analysis.
어디다 대시 가르사 디코냐를 예외 실시 디코나 집에 돈좀 데리겠다 미로 타이요 데 예외 실다 디코나니 집에 가서 매바 돈돈디 매베 돈이는 돈돈디 그 켈레 여버 오메루 오메 여반데 엄마바 수요 maybe tenjuwe chijuzu miru shiros odireda tekona jibe request da ganzo de tonduji request dizan mewa kelengese tikeje shiwena tonduji be ri je dizan niwade 엄마 ranjibe keleng marse 엄마 수요 keleng marwa tishide tekona jibe request ke meleba di ranjibe lemba de ranjibe she meleba de yo she de nig marwa 돈두지 리베카스 유바 켈링 엄마 티랑소야 말이시 어디 제바지야 말와 집가래 살아
So moreover, they cannot assert that the distinction between the Savatandika Madhyamikans and the Prasakika Madhyamikans is simply that one accepts that things are findable under ultimate analysis, pramartha, right? The ultimate analysis. And others don't accept it. As a matter of fact, Savatandika Madhyamikans do not accept that things are findable under ultimate analysis. So they are the same as the Prasangika Madhyamikans. So that does not become a basis, for differentiating between Savatandika Madhyamikans and the Prasangika Madhyamikans, because both say that under ultimate analysis, nothing is findable.
어디 다로 숨바들에도 다 돈도 고소 강어지나 메시야디 땡큐로 인사들에도 루스바가반 엄마 땡큐 엄마라 엄마바라 타이에데 케멜렌 켈레메도 히 뭐네 나르히와다 리베 가젤 레바 무마지베 러힌 고비 리바나지시 팔까바나 솔룬도베 제랑 lokla 세다신 총벌 주바 통데 랑글로 샤나 좀봉 이 미시베스 콘디게 텐데 당시 온주다 예미 뭐 예미 다와 예미 다와 소아이노 세데다 롱som바디 군조도 돈도 가운데는 메시아지 계자들와 켈레요머세아디 가르스나 테레스 디 오메게 따웬nen가 단 마시베세 엔 소소랑 디인시 샤가시는 텔레 미종 주서 인 텔레야 랑 메스라네 딘데지 바카가셔서리마도 요마리시 대신다 너도 지다 온주도 저도 다 치료에 다 딱바스다 다 시버부케 랑바 지바리스 제가 딜라야 거의 메시베 따레 시고다 다
그 치료에 다 박해면 간지 찍고 가르쳐 볼게.
나
치료에 다 딱발려면 찍발을 하고 찍어 인다.
어저 다 딱바스 다 딱바스 다 충고점 다른 것도 능외도 잡고 다 딱바스 요머지 시부까 안 지시고 버래. 그죠? 다들 라마 다들 그런 청가디 말라나 라고지야 메스라션 인디직바래요 뭐라 유는 뭐도 진데 요머신 유미기 남에다는 매우 차고 말해. 어디서 거다? 다 딱바 충고걸 다는 것도 너야도 가서 충고 나리스도 그러. 진짜 충고 전에 다 딱바다 온주도 충고라 요라. 숨국 찍바라 와시고. 딱 먼저 대시 능배디 해주는데 대유 해주인사다. 치료시야 니 제발 정말 소식으로. 어디로.
다단게 디 가서 그래. 디 숨바디 간제
숨바디
고마발이야 간제 타녀도야 아니 저번에 슬라이드로.
대유와 타녀도야 되게 요마르신데다.
So we are on page 236, the third subpoint, which reads refuting the third misinterpretation. And so the misinterpretation here is this. There are some who claim that Madhyamikans do not have their own position, even conventionally. Forget about ultimately. Like even conventionally, they have no thesis of their own. So That's what they say. So that's a misinterpretation. Okay, so if that's the case, then what you are saying is that Madhyamikans, even conventionally do not assert that things exist. Okay, there is no such thesis, for them, and that means all things exist for mistaken perceptions, but in reality, nothing exists at all. Okay, if that's the case, then the Madhyamikans' position is no different from that of the position of some other schools, non-Buddhist schools, who assert that there is such thing as a permanent self, right? Permanent self, or there is such things as creator. Okay, so from Buddhist point of view, permanent self exists for mistaken perception, isn't it? But in reality, there is no such thing as permanent self. So basically, if you say that Madhyamikans do not have a thesis even conventionally, that things only exist for mistaken perceptions, but not in reality, so that position is the same as saying, that there is such thing as permanent self. Because permanent self exists for mistaken perception, but in reality, it doesn't exist, just like anything else, So that is another misinterpretation which is being refuted or challenged.
dita namji da du kaje da ka yemi me tawas na cheta tu kaje sa tanye de dugre ya ji keje shigdo wa di gune na tanye de de se de kare se lo tuba tanye be ngol yu se de re do wa mo to tanye de mo tanye chama se yu dong ge chama jo ro wa ti mare pro tin zinge lo de 타니비 충을 여봐 잠시 시바 타니비 시바 충을 여 잠시 해들 더 타니비 추바 시비 신고 여봐 잠라이는 여봐 샤도에는 진짜 그 남샤에는 온주다 조지조다 거기 로시 가가에는 양타 버려고 그러서 그런 징에 시바들에 여러 그런 걸 여러 봤 대신에 너도 남과 산지에 줍다 체바 시고 있어 남이 때 봐야 되게 그게 가서 커버도 가 쇼도 지버려요. 지버려도 됐어.
Because there are schools of thought who assert that things only exist for mistaken perceptions, but in reality they don't exist at all. Okay, so but that's a good enough existence. If something exists for mistaken perceptions, he said that's what we call existence. But in reality, things don't exist. Okay, so if that's the case, then all the distorted perceptions becomes sort of a how should I say? Things perceived by distorted perception are existent, isn't it? Okay. That includes permanent self. That includes a creator and many other things. Okay, and so if they assert that Madhyamikans' position is similar to that, that's a very erroneous position or a thesis. Madhyamikans don't say that things exist only for mistaken perceptions, but in reality they don't exist. Okay. I think where this whole sort of idea is coming is about what we call Lokunzoba, right? Which is very hard to translate into English. I find it at least. We usually say conventional perception, but it doesn't do the thing because the word Kunzob has a sense of what we call has a sense of falsity. It's very hard to capture in English. So that's what it is. So many people assert that something exists, for the Lokunzoba, which is like we usually say conventional perception, but it doesn't exist in reality, right? So which means it's very hard to differentiate between that which actually exists and that doesn't exist, because everything perceived by the distorted perception exists for that perception, right? And they don't have to exist in reality. So we cannot make a distinction between what is existence and non-existence in that case. So we can certainly not say that Madhyamikans' imposition is akin to, similar to that position.
태유 도타미시 군데 타시와 누효데레스로와 타티 가바양가 마운디 셰신도스다 자야 안다가 로기바도가 뭐지다 때때 해버서 갑니다 어디 제가 셰신시 엄마가 키 엄마 발라 켈레 예메 제베니 엄마 셰바 강당되는 엄마 번조바 켈랑게 동어다마 주장야 맞아봐다 타이 탐지 여마다 인디기 동도바 도고베 켈랑와 샤와 요라 대양 대인 독조 동다바 요바다 타이 메바 데베 마왕이 바타지 가마가니 샤거비스 가르기 동도베 세마요 요바다 랑기 도와 랑기 도바다 헤나 신세마로바 돈비 오마바 에 나믹베시 다 넘버 힌조보 고아 남지에서 쇼도 팀비 랭게 중세장 중세장 랭가 중세장 메비 로드니 시기는 요소 타바이노세 어디다 롤루 응원에 따라서 땡큐어세야 가르선다 다 땡큐어세야 디데데세우다 저와 가르사 켈레 유비제베 엄마 번저 켈런 거 아니 돈 타바 저바 뒤도 메바세 타이에 되게 유제되게 남자 제시 답지 비게 아니 가르사 신데 테베 근데 타이 제시 삼이 롱아 돈 타바 뒤도 메바 어 덴데디게 남자한테 소소 줍대 때는 편라 빠때 인디데 셰블시는 야필 로야 될에네 엄마 땡겨 버시고 스타 이 단당이야 거르지야 되게 진짜 가면도 파가야도 쓰드야 지금에는 이 피레시는 지부터야 요마라 어떻게 거다.
So we are towards the bottom of page 236, and so to allege the Madhyamikans that they accept things exist only for mistaken perceptions, but not in reality. That is like casting aspersion onto the Madhyamikan system, or undermining the system. Because Madhyamikan, that means they have really not understood what Madhyamikans mean, the middle way, proponents. Okay? And so in our school of thought, Prasangika Madhyamikans are those who do not exert intrinsic reality even to the size of a particle small. But things do exist conventionally. Okay? Nothing exists, right, intrinsically, even to that of the size of a particle, but conventionally, things exist and things function just fine. Okay? So who are able to make that kind of assertion, right? Nothing exists intrinsically, but things exist conventionally, and they function perfectly fine as conventionally. So that kind of proponents are called Prasangika Madhyamikans. Okay.
가르사 maybe share dance 대다 number 샤바 고아나 쇼데비 내가 중세자 maybe 어다 대주오게니 디네가 동담바 체다도 뒤상야 랑시미 그저 샤지단 같아지 대 쇼어들은 셰다 리벨람이야 뇌바파야 제요 말이지 여러분 셰다도에서 체용서 다바 있어 다 리벨다 세베 내바네 다 양타 샤고로 와 어때서 그래 양타바 예노 대단히 케바 오메 엄마베 쫑의 제로 랑기 조 마시나 메제스 고아 메타파 텐조아 중에 리바 켈랑바니 게 땅이 타왔던지 셔발라 콩소이 로드난지 오밀로 넘버샤 샤나 연두타다 아다 제와 샤에 뉴언데말 로아메샤도 디레손다 소소에네 ene tenju lo de yawo shin ne he lama go je ma shin na ene tele ya he de chok she du ja shin ne ene me she ga ga ya de no be ja ne pe chema jin so jo ma ri o te su wa wa karsa lang ba ni ta wa che wa che de wa la kong so wa su ta di ene thon ta ba che tam ji me tan yi de ten de sha wa de ma ta de de sha wa de shi de so kong so se 다 내가 수업에서 이자리 로드는 오메 로 넘버 샤니스 윤두 탐지 저하셔서 어디 배 종을 보시 오메로 오늘 차이 뉴온데와 저함 뉴온데와서는 대말에 이게 되세요다 한 바퀴만 지고로 뉴온데스는 통기통기 용기도 잘 좋아.
No.
근데 소도 그게 한 번씩 되게 좋아 쉬고 오늘 저 리필라운지 내가 이베다 아니 좀 캐래 때문에 밀 쉬고 막 이제 한 번씩 할래 이 좋아 쉬고 막 레고 자고지.
Awesome. So we're on top of page 237. And so Prasangika Madhyamikan's position is this, that nothing exists in and of itself or intrinsically, even slightly, to the size of a particle, but conventionally things exist and things, function, just perfectly fine. Okay? And that kind of a system is considered as a valid and infallible thesis or a position, in the sense that no, any valid reasoning can challenge or undermine that kind of a position. So in other words, just to simplify it, Prasangikas have got the perfect system. Okay, nobody can challenge it. That's what we say. So it is stated on page 237 that even if one is not able to understand their position as it is, at least one must not slander their position and just kind of fabricate, their position as if you have understood their position and you just kind of contaminate their position and add something onto it which they really don't talk about. Don't do that. Even if you don't understand what it is, just don't make up stories. It didn't say stories, but that's what it is. Right? Don't make up stories there. Stop doing that. Because if that would end up into, casting aspersion onto the Prasangika's system.
어디 다디 공로들 직세리 저도 코자기 소자고 소 시신도 다 넘버 셔버 탐지 또 민고와 넘버 네바 인바 인바 당 랑소 락바신디 녀와 쫑던데 버달라 녀와 신도 르미 쫑도 용데 제대로 네바 아바타 마동와 최니 랑구 쫑는 해소 나창바다 송비 오멜로 동담바 땡라 앞에 참마다 타지비 참마 세메 라우노에 남샤 용다즈 미비치 타지 콘데지 남샤다지 샤비 쇼바라 니바니버 샤오스 디식세 데레도 코자 카르사 초디 용다 남바샤와 탐지 더 민교와 네바 임바다 랑구 쇼 오멜로디 디레인스 다다 마시에서 랑쇼 락바신디 신디 녀와 쫑의 대와 다다당 녀와라 영세 그리고 다다다데 오메 따웨 삼니 파쇼 쫑 락바트졸이야 비 내가도 저너 하보고 시도스 신디 룸보 진짜 다다쪽에서 시작 신디 룸보에서는 쫑도 연대지 남주 명계도 저거와 쫑 연대 치단데와 다 마동와确实다 되고 다다디 저기에서도 랑교는 그 랑교는 셰르고 당장 원바 현실도 단지 제바 시기도 자기 세계 어디게서 대통령에서 와 세다 메카지 따치니 선물 접지 저번 양부 그도 딱 가와도 써야 되지 해야 로지죠 말에 어디서 그래 어디 세다 용등교 말에 인들 다 세다 될야 다 동담바 뉴점에 매바세 타니에도 애니 텐데샤지 나샤 탐지 비체신도 어때와 될라 예바지에 샤고 스타 돈다색스 되는 어디 전도 제르버스 디 콩디 식세게 되래도 와.
So we're in the middle of page 237. There is a passage cited from Great Indian Master Chandrakirti's Clear Words commentary or Siksal in Tibetan. So what is stated there by Chandrakirti is that Prasangika Madhyamikan's assertion or position is free of all contradictions, and those who have not who lack understanding of even the how should I say, the coarse level of the reality. Forget about the subtle ones, right? So they fail to understand the Prasangika's system, and what they end up doing is that they started to attribute their own lack of understanding and misunderstanding onto the Prasangika, like this is what you are saying, and so that is like attributing one's own weaknesses and lack of understanding onto the Prasangika. So please don't do that kind of thing, and so we just like, the example Geshe has given is, like some people, maybe they're riding a horse and I don't know, their mind is somewhere else. So then they even don't realize where the horse is they're riding. They're like, did you see my horse? Like, well, I mean, you kind of lost your, thoughts there. So it's something similar to that, that you don't realize, what fabrication you are adding on to some other system and claiming that that's what the Prasangika Madhyamikas are saying. In reality, you have not even understood the coarse level of their system, forget about the subtleties of Prasangika's thought. So what Prasangikas are saying, as we have kind of stated it a few times, is that nothing exists intrinsically, right, even slightly, but conventionally things exist. So conventionally, things function, as dependently existent, right? Dependent arising, paticca tender, right? Things exist just fine at the conventional level, but in the ultimate sense, nothing exists in and of itself. So that's the position of the Prasangika Madhyamikins, which is free of all contradictions. Yes.
Mà chung da se me no tsik ma khen ba den ba thong je jo go junzu yin she ma wal kharsa tham je ni junzu yin she wal la yin su jung se je je men jo de ju se na song je wa de da de to da de repel la de ene thong da ba ene du ta ya ma ta yi sha ji tham je te wa ti ke ma na she ne o ma wal khelen da de na sha khan ya me se la ni na ene Tsik mewa tanzi zumbe tongchen denpa chiya me si lava jikwa res, rwa. Tsik mewa ganga zumba res lava tong mewa denpa tsik yo rwa. Sita gyuzen sungu res. Tila dagbe gyuzen kaya mewa gbe oma bali kelen dang tamcha yo ma res, helu ga res ya di. Tsik mewa tanzi zumbe tongchen siya jikwa res.
So we are in the paragraph right after that citation from Chandrakirti's clear words on page 237, and as Geshe explained, what Madhyamikins are saying, or Madhyamikins in this particular case, refers to Prasangika Madhyamikins, who claim that nothing exists intrinsically in and of itself, but conventionally things exist and things function, okay, just fine. So failing to understand that position, if one claims that Madhyamikins have no system of their own, almost like Madhyamikins are clueless, they don't know what they're saying, they have no position, they have no thesis, right? It's not fair to their position. So it is like as ridiculous as saying that everything you say is a lie, which doesn't fly through, isn't it? Because people can say something that's truthful. So if you say that everything you say is a lie, so that rules out the possibility that you could be telling the truth, right? So which is very ridiculous statement to make. So as ridiculous as that statement, that everything you say is a lie, is to say that Madhyamikins have no system of their own. Actually, Madhyamika has their own system. The system is things exist conventionally, but not intrinsically. So that is their system or the position.
Kene mewa la si, kene yewe si, ene cheba charmewe si, ti chiri jong da su me, chiyang keme la bichiru he mawa minu de si, kene zani mewa la ya, ene kene yunga tu jong si na, tila jong shu tu marwa si, lawi ina si warwa. Ma minu de mawa tanji, ene karsa mawa tamji, zunyi no, she mawa la ya, tsik tamji, tsik tamji zunyi no, she maybe tsik dinyi dinzi yin bi shebar sharmewa bi rangi tsik gawa tate ba miniwe she dang yukba le kete danga ngubo yu kyo na semdo chungu jodu me minjur he minjur he ne ma pu pungbo jigre tadi de ju nembe da ziyo ke langbal ziyo ina pungbo de jig tadi khon mo goji tedal gundo de mebe medaji sunjemba sunjemba manu de ku jag de konani hendu jodu me jebe da ziyo jeba la teda ni le karu jodu he kibe jeba shewi shiro he tabe chobe shir ro tiba ja kaje da nga de karsa tanda kyong kaji shid ma so da kilen za ni me da intel kyong juwa yo mar la vi na de ziwa de na ma dam ji en de ba yi la wa de din zu hin ji ze za ni me wa ta do re o de da ni ma pe de kaza ka ta ma da khan de ze ke lang ba la de chu le do ke de da gang go bo chu ge na se sem do chu ju de mi me ge o de si de o de si ne rig dung she ne ka ba de chi ba de she da de nyong ding na ne bi ti kong chu ne ka ji ro to ma se da ka ji ma de bi de bel dong she se de so ne din di che ba za ni me ne ji de ka wa tan ye sha ji ga ga te go ma ba
나래.
o te si ba
그래도 그 내마 부베디 그 양주 스테이션에 가르쳐보세요.
ne ma ba da wa se de ga do yin de chi da ma de ba nang de ji de wa
나오.
da me da kan de je me da just de da ken ne se ji me de
다음에다 가면 뭐인데?
o te si ba
나오.
da kan sa ta ba ma me da ma
나오서.
ji yi si o de si o ba
나오서. So 디데 지고 책을 쓰라 그러다게.
la
그 디데 지고 책을 쓰라 그러다.
la
디 베드 가르쳐 장이 그러게.
la
내마 부베 대바데다 가르 충돌 제 몰라.
ne ma bu de ba de a de da me da kan de je de mo si dan da ko le ja ya ma ra ni
알로.
रे वा o te da ma kan je je la ba
나래.
o te si o da
디 라바다 안단다 가르쳐
o ta da di da o me lo kai me se ya du de che chung ju mo se ya du da o te ga cho ji do de si o da
Explanation pertains to what you find at the bottom of page 237 to top of page 238. So basically, to allege that mathematicians have no system or thesis of their own is akin to saying that everything you say is a lie, as if you can never tell the truth, okay, as ridiculous as that.
che ba che mi shi
So if you say that mathematicians have no system of their own, then also how can you make an argumentation with that? If they have no system of their own thesis, then what are you trying to refute or even argue with them, right? Because they have no thesis. You know, it is as ridiculous as that. And another example given to demonstrate the same point is on top of page 238. So it is just similar to in the Vaibhasaka school, there's a sub-school called Vadisputriyas, okay, Nemapuva in Tibetan, Vadisputriyas. So Vadisputriyas, when you ask them, what is your take or a position on a person? Does person exist or self? They said, yes, there is a substantially existent person, right? And then you say, is that person a permanent or impermanent? They said, well, it's neither permanent nor impermanent. Which means, they really don't know how to answer that question, isn't it? They claim that self or a person is substantially existent, but then they claim that substantially existent person as neither permanent nor impermanent. See, so you just got cornered yourself somewhere, and you don't know, how to respond to it. So it will be similar to that position. So Geshe would like to stop there today and welcome your questions. Page 2. Questions? Yes, sure. Maybe we ask questions, maybe things might become even clearer somewhere.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
Monty Miggins don't believe in the two truths, conventional and ultimate truth.
Oh, mathematicians, you mean? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Monty
Okay.
They try to put their own spin on the two truths, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. So does that go into other religions or other faiths, or is it Monty Megan? I guess it's a form of Buddhism. Or does that go for all faiths that they can't wrap their head around emptiness or and then conventional truth? Oh man. Huh.
I understood what you said. So I'm
yeah.
just trying to find what is the point you're trying to make here. Yeah.
My point is, if you have these very, gosh, I feel very condescending when I say this, but if you have these very educated people, if they can't break things down to the lowest denominator, like we do, I guess, how is that possible to be so smart and not be able to? I guess this is more of a statement. I just don't understand someone being so educated and, how can they not see just there's two truths without adding their own version to it?
Okay, sure.
And what is the purpose of that? Adding your own when it doesn't really even exist. Those statements aren't even truth. So why even waste your time doing that?
Okay, I think I understood largely your points. Let me get back to Geshe and see. Tapi jeda di kasar go test thom bada ge karo thom dunga.
La.
Kona karo go thom bada da go thom be ge tiwa ro ge.
Alelos.
Ta kona samedi samde duga uma bala ya ane kar so gore. Uma ba ge ane kar so temba ni kheling ge yomar bas ro ge. Ta dan temba da kunza temba namsha ro ge.
Ore.
Ane dine ta ta de ge de be ge sikse de bal koda lamas da ge sikse lamas pena ta uma thenju ba ge ane kaso gore thanye du chue thamje ane kaso tende du yo ro ge.
Ore.
ine ane kaso ta thön thamba ane rangshin du me jik sum ro ge.
Ore.
dine nenga di ane hamma go genso ge ane soso gi ta tokso chen ro ge uma ba ge jik labo ro ge.
Ore.
an dige ta kanga khara samtan de kala mi shamba des nangjung dang de ngar thong go ro ge.
Ale.
uma ba lu de keba bo shibu je shamba jo go ma jo je mi lobjong yongye shen je mang go shibu je yo ro ge.
Ale.
dine go ma som ba kar re ro ane soso ka ji ge ane be chodo chen de ane nembe gyab ko kar thu de re ro wa.
Ale.
ta kan je ko ton da tok ro de ge be thom de ro ge.
Ale. Re. Ale. Tanda.
다 오만 랑주 베 가자 튼주 베 따와도 건서 고쳐고 말라도 밀 능주 당가 통고 있어 로 게. 로 게. 근데 고 맞으네 엔 라고 로. 그래서 고 맞으면 nembe 맞았어 로 게. 이래라도 밀 능주 당가를 통고 있어 로.
Ale. Tete ba tanda de ko tete ke ka mara ma tenjo ta ten fa yo ta tita ko chwa chile ko ni khoje guni thasa lam ke de mare ti mare sla imbe imbe sla mala na ko chewa shin fe to yo mara ta di chewa shi ka ta tenjo lo tirang chewa shi ni zon ta tirang guni chewa guni tha shi ge dun de ga sha ti mai pa du shi de ne ti mare su pa mala ka me sha ro o ti chaw ko mi ji tete ko ong yo ta di ke de ka yo mara
no. 다이네 틴유 가다 틴규 불로리아 그다 가서 데니가 남사 샤고 슬라고. So what Geshe wants to say is that mathematics in general and Prasangika mathematics in particular, they accept two truths, ultimate truth, Paramartha Sadhya, and conventional truth or Samvriti Sadhya. So they accept the notion of true truths. Okay, things do exist conventionally, yeah, but not ultimately or intrinsically. So that's what they're saying. So what we have seen here is, the confusing part is that and there are people who have understood the Madhyamika's position as it is. So there's nothing to argue with them, because they understood what it is. But then there are those who have misinterpreted the Madhyamika's position, right? So then the Madhyamikans felt the need to clarify their position and refute those misinterpretations, right? So it's not like nobody understood what the Prasangika Madhyamika's position is. There are those, right? If you understood it, there's nothing to argue about. Okay, great, congratulations. He didn't say that. But if you have really not understood it, but you claim you understood it, then you added your own fabrication into it. You don't realize what it is. So those needs to be clarified. So that's what is being done. In argumentation, we're refuting the misinterpretations, right? And those who got it right, we just let it be. There's nothing to argue against them. Okay. So it's not like being condescending or trying to put others down, belittle. It's just that you didn't get it. Okay. So we're just telling you which part you didn't get it. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Yeah. Let me first, and then we'll go to at the back. Yeah.
It says that those who claim that they have no thesis, not even conventionally. Because there is this statement here that all depend, according to Gyeltsen Kappa, because they claim actually results in the conclusion that all dependent arising end up being like having the ontological status like that of non-Buddhist fabrication. And later on it says that conventionally everything is like an illusion. Okay, but illusions are perceptions. Karma and divine creator, they're not perceptions, even though karma is their conceptual consciousnesses. So even though divine protector is not, but nevertheless,
I think your mic is kind of dropping out a little less. Without it, if it's kind of maybe the battery is down. Sometimes I lose you, sometimes I get it.
So they're not, my point is that karma and the divine creator, they're not illusions. They're not like illusions. So conventionally everything is like illusion. But the karma and the divine creator are not illusions. So in that sense, both karma, even though karma, according to Buddhists, it's correct, but divine creator is not.
Not, yes.
But in that sense, they're both not illusions. Ontologically, their status is the same. Conventionally, I don't see a problem with them saying that, there is a contradiction here. They don't exist according to the statement that everything is an illusion.
Right. Okay.
So they're not illusions. Therefore, they don't exist equally in that sense.
Right. Okay. So I'll go back to Geshe. Quran ki condition di dire ta tanda di ken logdo sumba che ro ge. Di na le pena ta tanda oma ba ki ranglu ro cha sha bi na ane kar so gore tön dan bar ro ge ane ka so ta rang ne du di zam yo ma ro ge. Ane kun so do yo ro sla ro ba. Kun so do di kar so gore ta tanda gyuma ta bu re sla do ge. Cho dem gyuma la che ro ge. Gyuma 다 데이터는 그 좋아 된 거게 규마다 뭐 레라셔 와게 제가 가서 규마 세디오 간이야다 추바질 셔고 와서 그게 규마세 걸 랍다 와게 세디오 간이야 아니 규마레 세디오 간라 페나 땅가서 레기로 와게 레균데 그남사 셔베는 고 규마다 뭐 와게 지금 거 봐 규마다 뭐 레슬라 와게 아니 레균데 기 규마다 뭐 레슬 거 자는 요 말을 쓰고 말 와게 이나 거 레균데 비서 왔다 지금 거 봐디 karso grada ko kyuma ta bachada chata jigden ko ba boda le junre ga namsha ni de samlo jig tang ba ni jig ro bachado ko ni ga kyuma ta bore da ro ba ge chata da di gi kyume ten chi session ana pe jiping ga ro ba ge kyuma ta bore la da kyuma re la ni ki ke ba de me ro song ro ba ge
ale de kaza kyuma ta bo se de kare sana chidang be ko zumba zunjang ge pe jigo ma ba 그래서 줌바레디고 코그 자시 저와시도 그랬으면 저와 주마타우스 다음에 유타우스 아데 어디 뛰어도 베나다디 메오나 셰이 승이도 된데 레라요 실데네 그게 줌마레 메오나 셰시요 말에 셰요 말에 디세나 들라데 에네 시행 그게 나무라서 뭐 되게 배 지도시도야다 들라데는 저와 죽도도 와 그 줌바이면 지대 용라로 봤다. 뭐는 제 생에서는 줌바이면 기자래. 줌바이는 콜리아 tinde게 애니 소수 시행백에 가서 셔돌시아 tin데 샤와시도야기 펜도야기 땡리 누가
라로마
저봐 줌바이는 그냥 가서 샤와시 티고도 자지 타니도 샤지 티고 오라.
라네
저봐 시도시 나고 가려는 강가 시사동에도 콜 때니 제도고 열어. 어디서도 그 주말에 줌바이나 애네 그 샤시티가 어디 빼시고 줌바다 샤시티가 인조 그래 저거로. 그래서는 다들 멜로나 시스인도 되면서 지대 용자 줌바 저거로. 이제는 거 저거로. 어디로. 당근도 내반나도 지금 용자 줌바티도 요뭐 내변을 내대요로. 저도 다시 그 샤워 좀 시도 내반 인구 그래서 내반 인구 말이 줌바에는 자시 샤와들이 태야 요래 이 명언시 형님된 이 동을 시도 치약 들어가나야 되기도 와서 어디 잡다시 오로
다단다게 레균데 이제 다단다 준비 좀 지그러 와게 이네 다단다 지금 거 봐 보도록 와게 규모다 버 레슬라비나 And the kind of stage over.
Jide ko abu de jumata bade lag mare de.
No, no.
Siko yo de rongo rata bade de nange me do chibare se de wadi.
No,
Te tata sung wadi.
No, no.
Chaji se yo maro
I
wa.
don't know. So Geshe clarifies what does it mean that conventionally phenomena exist, they are like an illusion, right? We are not saying they are illusion, they are like an illusion, right? And so there are many examples of illusions. Maybe the one that is easier for us to deal with is reflection of our face in the mirror. Yeah. So even as ordinary person, when we look in the mirror, we see our face reflected there, but we know that's not our real face. It's unreal, isn't it? So there is some kind of unrealness, isn't it, about it? We can call it falsity, right? Not the real one, but it looks like, look-alike. But like an illusion, not only example used to demonstrate that it's unreal, but it's also said, even though it's unreal, still it's very functional, right? What I see in the mirror is not my real face, but simply looking at it, I can do touch-ups and I can do painting or whatever I need to do, you know. It still functions fine. So it's very functional, unreal, but very functional, right? So in the same way, that conventional phenomena, right, as ordinary person, we don't know that they appear to us as intrinsically existent, but in reality they don't exist, but they still could function, you know, in that very mode. Now, in the case of divine creator, right, from Buddhist point of view, I mean, we cannot say a creator is like an illusion, because from Buddhist point of view, creator is a non-existent, right? That's like a horn on the bunny's head, right? So karma is something that exists conventionally, but it's like an illusion. But creator even doesn't exist conventionally from Buddhist point of view, you know. So that's that difference.
Well, yeah, but illusion is like an illusion. Anyway, all the example that Geshe gave, these are examples of perceptions.
Yeah, right.
So there's a distinction between a thesis, having a thesis, an explanation of something, and what one perceives. So everything, they're saying they don't have a thesis. They don't deny the existence of, or perhaps they don't, of conventional phenomena as they are perceived in function. But they don't have theories about these things. That's what they're saying. There's a difference between something appearing like an illusion and something having a theory about it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That the karma is just like that. Karma is a theory. So it's the divine creator. In that sense, they're not perceptions.
Right. Okay. Right.
So in that sense, they're equal.
Alako disagree again. Karso da kunje danda uma bala ya ranglu yo mas la wa gen. Di karso ranganzo ki hina dirwa gen ko dirwa gen. 소소 통난 지고 지기 낭주 계자 말 왔으러 와게 가서 다 랑루 요마서 남샤 요메 계지 시고로 빼나도 뭐지 레줌데 있는 남샤로 와게 다가나신 직된 거법 요메서 거 남샤로 와서게 남샤 임베 전에 군 직주로 와게 그러와 아니 직된 거법 뭐네 요 말을 쓰되 갈라다 가서 세메 두모두기 고 가서 그래 유진 뜨고 와게 니 계자 시고 말로 유진 때마다 와고 지단 남샤 시고로 직된 거법 요메 남샤 지시 레줌데 남샤 시에서는 거 남샤 임베 전에 직주로 와서 그러와 tanda konzogi uma balya ane ranglu mindu sadil kalko namsha jegi chanero wage ranglu mindu law mado jegi soso tana thongjo gi chanero wage ane mindu ske lagyo marwas ko
te da kozo ranglu mindu se de karsen tanda tsaga de yora de karsen this go ra because when da khansa de ne subun khansa de ne so bu mo de se mani za ote me yin 다 강사 문득사 그런 거 제바지 강사 밑에 다 쉐들 직바로 시동 쉐다 다 거지 통을 지요 다른 것도 통어도 가지 로야도 통야도 맥 통야도 강간도 와서 이 통을이 시고로 와 디렉트로 어디 뜻고 거저 매매세 그러서 딱 도지에 챘는 단다 땡지 식베 쉐다니 쓰는데 어디지 가장 거지 그거 심벌서야지 쉐다 가장 문제세야 돼. 가르스 뭐 말씀하신 인터가스 강사 그게 부부가라 강사 말이야. 다 강사 민도 선도 라비나. 저도 제가 일 매버서 샤르와. 네. 저도 구미야다 자지 캐나야 뭐 가가 강사 매도 캐나 용 말아. 인저 동안도 시야도 계제 시야도 바서 샤도 칼라스야도 충고자리 세워라디.
no.
어디 되게 쉬고 자고.
no. 단다 겐다 코랑 딜어서 레 김대게 남샤다 안직네 거 남샤 인베 찬이 직바로 와서 거로 게.
라.
남샤로 남샤.
네,
대세야
남자들이,
거 지대 거
남자-
배고 수요 그래서 콜라 대세를 시켜줘요 게.
네.
남샤 인베 찬은 거기 직바로 와서 직중.
레 남자 인부터 니들 남자 지저스 지당 니진도 해 니들이 해 댄서 남자 쓰기로 와.
나네.
다 레기도 위해서나 예번 남자지 매서 매 남자지 그런 녹수 해야지 그러러 와.
나네.
딱 거기 레기는 너 문두스는 해는 다 바로 뒤매지 제와신다. 레기와 동행 주고 요사 가자. 내가 중화 요사래 메걸 동행 중화 요사래 오늘 전사 요사래 말이 근데 제와신은 내는 거 가지고 와라.
나네.
미기 매싱의 남자여 유기 남자여로 차별 말아.
So what Geshe wants to say is that maybe first I'll do the presentation part, right? As a theory, right, the theory of karma or theory of divine creator, right? I mean, at that level, maybe they are saying, that people have idea or notion that, that there is such thing as a good karma, there's such thing as a bad karma, right? And there's such thing as a creator or no creator. So these are all presentation theories. But then somebody say, you know what? Well, in the Buddhist, for example, teaching, they talk about good karma, bring good result, bad karma. Right? If you're going to analyze it, right? So then that's a different matter, right? Then they might find that, okay, good karma does bring good result, bad karma does bring, that's another level. So in the same people will say, yes, there is a theory about God, but is there really God? Is God a woman or a man, right? He didn't say that, I added this one up. So then, I mean, there's another level, right? We go look into that. So what's happening when they say that Madhyamikans have no system of their own? Basically where that's coming from is many of them, have failed to identify precisely the object of negation. Yeah? And so they think that, okay, person exists, right? Then they said, I exist. Who am I? Then they try to look, is my body me? Is my aggregate feeling or aggregate of whatever discrimination? So at the end, they find that none of them is I. They say, you know what? Well, I really don't exist. It only exists for the mistaken perception, but in reality, it doesn't exist. But this kind of position is even not feasible because basically they're saying that I or the person doesn't exist at all. Okay? Whereas a person is functional, isn't it? So this is basically because of not being able to identify precisely the object of negation. Madhyamikans are not saying that persons don't exist. They say there's no intrinsic person that's findable, isn't it? Under analysis. So I think that's where their fabrications comes into, right? Alleging that Madhyamikans don't have their own position. Now I'll go back to you. Yeah.
I'm trying to grasp why we're even talking about this. And so what I'm trying to gather is how understanding this helps in one's spiritual development.
Okay.
And what I understand is that it's quite profound because at this level, conventional existence is what we do know.
Yes.
We experience this. And if we're able to understand that ultimately we don't exist, they coexist. And in that coexistence, we can actually become better practitioners because we understand that it's perhaps our role and function to let go of concepts, and that the intellect is limited. It can only go so far. But the practitioner, the devotee, has to experience the non-existence to become on the road to enlightenment. So I just want to understand in a practical way why we're even talking about this. How does it help a spiritual practitioner to attain enlightenment and purification?
Okay. Yeah, I understood most of what you said. When you use the word coexist, what do you mean by that existence? Coexisting with what?
Coexisting, that both schools of thought coexist. They are parallel, like you're saying. That one school of thought is that conventionally we exist, we
Right.
function, and
Ultimately,
it's
we don't
kind of
exist,
like an
yeah.
illusion. But the ultimate is
Yeah.
that, and we know in a practical sense, we love, we attach, and then someone dies.
Sure. Yes. Sure. Thank you. Morangi kandi shwe de yin sa da tining ki jeje shyo ro ba gen.
아래
Di shira ki substitute re sha ro ba gen. Ine da di ngarang zo ki da chojo ki da nyamlen kongbe tang ya se ne min du ro ba gen. Ani ko da laglen ngome to ni chemen di ki jawa ro da ke chi ju ne ju kari cha yin as kandi shwe yin sa pena da kun jo de yours la ro gen chodam je. Ani ko ten ji du bore ko kar sa cha che thi yours la ro gen.
아래
Ine tyondam de yo manas la ro ba gen.
아래
시디오 칸라 야다 nganzu namju soba nyamyo yo de kunjobdi nganzu nyong de gorwa gen
어리.
tyondam de hago go marwa
어리.
ta kese tyondam ne neje de hago ba yina ta denyi ni ga lo nyamdo da ka so gen ne de barwa gen
아래
an di gi nganzu chojo go nyamle ne mindu rowa ge
어리
ko nenga ro da phen ro ba kare ne dis kan dina ro na sa rowa ge
알레.
pena da nganzu nyamle be chegen iman sta kon dangzi lo da ro chigo rowa ge dinde la ko chi phingyo ra kare re so rowa ge ta tyondam ne neje de hago ba de rowa ge
이래 이래 다 단다tin 간도 가서 무스비게 티도 랑랑랑 따라서 가요 말지 지금 단다디 시에서는 그 시제 내두지 되려 권에서 시작으로 내장한테 걸어 간도 하고 그러와 뒤과서는 시코라 가리는 드레 땡네 람냠슬링 간도 그게 쳐도시는 시직 시샤리 뒤가 शे고 인자 엔다다 돈다바다 고도 남자도 시에서는 इन शिया के खसे ये देंबा खसे तो खसे जुमारे तो वो दिने नाम जागी गंगा चिपा में था ये यागो हिए तो ना इन यागा समुद्र ना हिया था दो मारे से लोदो फाका का शे वो दी जून पे बोयरस.
So Geshe says you're right that we are talking about truth on two different levels, on the conventional level and on the ultimate level. And you're right, what we experience normally is the conventional truth, reality, but not the ultimate nature. And why that part is important from a spirituality point of view is basically, as practitioners, the number one we need to do is try to establish truths as they are, what is, and what is not. That's important for us to know. And then we can, in the process, find out what are our misconceptions with regard to realities, and we need to tackle those misconceptions and get rid of that. So if we know how things exist ontologically, that will help us to be able to get rid of a lot of our misconceptions and let go of many, afflictive emotions that we have. So then we are able to make the right kind of choices. What is good that we should adopt? What is negative or bad that we should not do, abandon, right? And so that's why on the basis of what we call, on the level of the basis, from Buddhism point of view, we have to establish the truths of the realities as they are. So once we have the good understanding of the realities, then we know how to modify our behaviors accordingly. So that's the part. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
Did Rinpoche himself actually subscribe to one of these, the third or the second misconception, didn't he, when he was younger?
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Because the language he uses here, he calls them vile assertions, content, and
Right. Yeah. Kuna kandi shwe di shu le, Rinpoche da kuna chungdu ka lo rwa gen, da pene tae ne ma dong ngan su ko rwa. Rinpoche ki ani nang da tanda de ngan gen lo do bena me da ni ba sum ba de yo rwa ge. Di ge de Rinpoche gong lo chungju ka lo kuna le chung de jo de yin ba ina sa ro chung yo ben de rwa ge. Da tanda de lo do ngan ba de se yo rwa ge.
어리
제 shu le ya da da ben ne ga chen yu de ka la da di de min de kong ya sho rwa ge.
어리
De yin ba na su ko.
아 진짜 레스 생각나는 진짜 요리 단다 다와티 유메메메메 단다 내로 또저 또서야 돼 유도 유신데 또 남자 요 말스 들을 지금까지 있잖아 어디
알아 다니 단다디 내 로도 니바 숨바 셔야 돼. 내가 제일 거랑 툴 총대 저러 게. 툴 저러.
가이 쭈쭈쭈쭈서야지 쭈쭈서야 돼 그게 유지 대도기 유진시 된데 동자 동시 샤요 말스 그걸 다 동상 거라 찍어 뭐야 제가 追追了我的
알레.
几万他都几万
알 제로 무지 투 공부나 되는 코요.
dire yore ti sending koran ta we ko yore wa
세팅 나로스.
sending
렉시 세팅으로 와.
ligi sending
노노. 알다 데 전디 그 제로 무지 공부 춘주가 되게 총 로도 다 세대로.
ode
Actually, Geshe said, yeah, when Rinpoche was young, before he gained realization, right? These are misinterpretations, he himself might have experienced. In the lecture setting, eloquence of golden speech, gold speech eloquence, that text, it just mentioned where, he struggled with understanding the idea or the notion of treadle, free of elaborations or fabrications, right? First he thought it really meant that nothing exists at all. There's no such thing as subject and object, duality. So it means nothing really exists. So he himself, right, went through these misinterpretations. Later, he was able to, tackle them. Yeah. So we will stop there today. Again, Again, I will remind Geshe that sorry, these days my life is getting too crazy. So next Sunday, again, I have to be in DC as a commissioner. So you will be back to calm abiding section with wonderful Geshe translator. And then when I return, we will continue with this bone cracking topic. So. Kange lo de jimye dinde ninda namda rabsebe jinye denge jishin seje nye toba le mamze kanda sebe zara mare mendo donge jese lozo gola boje taze yela roje yangden son roda shedo nyemo leye jaro jeze je mare jinye junze radena dene daje saje taze yende so Geshe Juda Juda Junyi Yende Dalu Yang La De Omara Badana Omara Baza Nandi Zende Yeye Yenra Veze Ye Dalu Temo Mem Kada Denje Shunglun Taba Ye Lode Zendo So Lode Yazu Ujun Pega Jen Kesan Huwe Judo Memba Tenba Zinla Wando Yichobe Danyen Shogun Jo So Wan Page 21. Obeisance to my Guru and Protector Manjushri, who holds at his heart a scriptural text, symbolic of his seeing all things as they are, whose intelligence shines forth as the sun, unclouded by delusions or traces of ignorance, who teaches in 60 ways with the loving compassion of Father for his only Son, all creatures caught in the prison of samsara, confused in the darkness of their ignorance, overwhelmed by their suffering. You who straighten Thanga-like proclamation of Dharma, arouses us from the stupor of our delusions and free us from the iron chains of our karma. Whose princely body is adorned with 112 marks of a Buddha, I bow down to you, Manjushri Marabhatanadi, O compassionate one, with the brilliance of your wisdom, illuminate the darkness enclosing my mind. Enlighten my intelligence and wisdom so that I may gain insight into Buddha's words and the texts that explain them. 31. Like the sweet perfume of white lotus, born in the ocean of knowledge, nourishing honeybees, the fortunate being, your fame pervades all directions. You are proficient and powerful in upholding the precious doctrine. To you, O Lord Sang Tenzin Wangta, respectfully I pray.
Nhất tâm kính lễ Đức Văn Thù Sư Lợi, bậc đại trí, Ngài điều phục hai chướng ngại, tựa nhật quan lan tỏa khắp mười phương, bậc thực chứng chân nghĩa màu rốt ráo, từ tim Ngài Bát Nhã Kinh thủ hộ nhiệm màu, cõi luân hồi chúng sanh thọ nghiệp báu, bị ngăn che bởi phiền não vô minh, sở hữu 60 pháp âm thủ thắng, cùng đại bi Ngài hóa độ chúng sanh, tựa từ mẫu chăm lo cho quý tử. thoát khỏi vòng luân hồi nghiệp báu, gươm trí tuệ Ngài chặt đứt vô minh, tận diệt muôn vàn khổ đau cùng ách nạn, trường tử Như Lai tối thắng toàn giác. Ngài an trụ nơi thập địa pháp vân, báu thân Ngài trang nghiêm thanh tịnh, 112 tướng hảo Như Lai. Đây đầu đảnh lễ Đức Văn Thù Sư Lợi, cúi xin Ngài tận diệt ám chướng vô minh. Om Arapasanadi. Con khẩn cầu dưới gót sen bậc đại trí, bàn pháp lực diệt phiền não vô minh, được trí sáng con thâm nhập nghĩa màu, pháp vi diệu cùng muôn vàn luận giải. Đàn xanh nơi trí thù thắng đại dương, hàng thiện căn như ong mật thọ nương, hồng danh Ngài khắp mười phương quảng bá, đấng thiện xảo uy dũng bảo tồn pháp bảo vô giá. Nam mô Lốp Song Tenzin Quang Đắc. Xin cung kính trì niệm.
Sanje Shindo Mi De Vi Wa Yi Ru Gu Nan Da Shin La Xue Bo Yi Zhong Kang Ri Ra Bi Guo Bi Xin Gang De Ben Dan De Wa Ma Li Zhong Bi Ni Xin Ri Si Wang Din Zin Jia Zo Yi Xia Bi Si De Ma Dian Yu Ji Yi Dan Gu Ru Ra Na Man De La Ga Ni Yan Da Yo